Hey guys, this is Aziz and it is Tech Time. Today we're going to do another tutorial of the intro series to C++, and this tutorial will have to do with classes which is used worldwide with C#, Java, Android, Windows Phone applications, anything that you can think of, and in Java they're just called methods. So we're going to go ahead and start with this tutorial, and let's start and go to Microsoft Visual Studio. There it is. Alright, so let's make a new project and let's go ahead and go to empty project and make it just name it classes. That's what I'm going to name mine. Alright, and if you don't have a solution explorer, as usual, it's in the view solution right here, and let's go ahead and right click on source files, add new item, and the new item, make sure it's selected C++ file, name it main. Alright, add it. There it is. Let's zoom in right away. Okay. Before we do anything with main, we're not going to start anything with main. Let's just type void main. And let's just do the system. Pause. Don't do any libraries or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and take care of that in a second. Classes are always in the header file. They are never in the source file. Don't do that because it should be in the header file. So that's what you're gonna do. Right click on header file, add new item, and make sure it's a header file. There it is, and call it card header. Let's just name it that there. Alright, there's a card header. Let's zoom in. Okay, let's drag it, and there's the circle. Go to the right of it, and here it is. Okay, so in the header file we're going to include everything because everyone is going to look at that. So let's include IO stream. There it is. We're not going to need any other libraries, I don't think so. So let's go ahead and continue using namespace std. This is just like when you do structure. You do the same thing like this in a header file. So classes are not much different. To name a class, you just type class and you continue to name it whatever you want, just like a variable name. So I'm gonna name this one card, and open and close the brackets like in a structure. And one thing that you always have to remember, semicolon. You always have to remember this semicolon is very important in structures and in classes. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna type a couple of variables. So in a card, this is just like a card game, but not a card game just like the cards by themselves, for example. So in a card it has a face and a suit. So int for the face and char for the suit, which is like a heart or a spade or whatever. I'm not too good with cards, so excuse me for that one. There's the variables, but you do not initialize them right here. You cannot do this. You do not initialize them right here, just like a structure. So let's go ahead and continue with it. You can always include, you can include the header file right here inside main, so we can see the IO stream and using namespace, and we can see the whole card, so we can use it. Just like in structures, you go ahead and type the hashtag include, and instead of less than, you type double quotes. Double quotes let you see the files that you have, and it always looks at header files. So double click this file. Here it is, double quotes, and all your errors are over. So now we can include, we can ask to use this card. To use this card, you just call the name of it, just like in a structure. Now you give it a different name. Now we're going to call this hand, like a hand of cards. You've given someone a hand. Now semicolon, and we can use the hand. But now, what can we use with the hand? Can we do this? Hand dot, and like a structure you can use dot. But it's private. This is also private. So if I double click on face and equal to 0, I cannot do that. If you stand over the error, it would tell you card face is inaccessible. If I can only hover over these, I cannot. It just says inaccessible on the second page. So let's go ahead and take that off, or let's keep it. Before we take it off, I want to show you something before we go. You can do public and with a semicolon, or yeah, semicolon, and it would take that off. Now you can actually use them, because on default they're actually set this way. They're private, and you want your variables to be private. So you can do this, and here let's write public right under it, and you can keep these as private, or you can type private with a semicolon. It's always better to do that, because if you have a job and your boss tells you, why didn't you do that, now he doesn't have an excuse to use that. You always have private. Okay, you're set, you're good to go. So in the public, now this is private and it doesn't let us use it, but how can we access face? We want to display it, for example. So let's write a function called display. You type display here, but before display we always have to give it a type. So void display, there is a display, and parameters, no parameters, semicolon. Here's the function. But how to use the function is a different story. So to use the function, we're going to go ahead and right click on header file, add new item, and in the new item, instead of header file, select C++ file, and in the name I'm going to name it card header driver, because it's the driver for the header, and I'm going to name it, this part stays the same name. This is why. Go ahead and click add. This is why, because I think the Visual Studio compiler puts them in alphabetical order. That way you can see, when you look at your header file, you can know that your driver is right under it if you need to look at it. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Yep, I think 180 would do it, because we're going to write a bunch of lines here. So let's go ahead and push these, and let's drag it to the right. Here it is. Let's push it back. Alright, now we can use the functions. Now we can't go ahead and use the functions right away, we have to include something. So include, and use the card header just as usual, and close it. Now all your functions are going to be right here. You can also name it card header functions. That would be okay, that would be good. And to use this function, to edit it, you can do, this is the common error that happens. People do this, display, and think they can access these functions. So if you type face here, you cannot use it. If you type card, now you still cannot use it. There's a reason for that, because we're not accessing it. We're not actually inside it. To use a function of this class, you have to type card colon. So let me type that again. Let me start from the start. You type void first, you type card, which is the name of the class, then you put colon, because C++ uses colons. In C# you can do dot instead. So in here you can double click display. Because it's a public function, we can use it, we can edit it as we want. And you can see that this block right here is purple. The purple just means that this is a function. The blue just means it's a variable. The lock, it means it's a private. There is no lock, so you can double click it, open the parenthesis, there it is. Now we can play with it as we want. And here we can type cout face, or let's see out the suit first, because the suit goes before the face, as in spades 5 or something like that. And then display the face, then put an end line right here. Just very simple. And it lets you use that even though they're private members, but since you're inside the class, it is allowed. That's a way to access your private variables by functions you and only you set, so no one can tamper around with your functions, with your variables. So in here we type hand dot. We don't access the face or the suit, we access the display. So click on the display, parenthesis, and semicolon. Now let's see what the code gives us. Let's go ahead and go to debug, start without debugging. Let's see what we get. Now here's a problem. Now we're getting a garbage number, just a random number from the processor. It is not random, but it's just a garbage number that it gives you. How do we fix this? So we can fix this by when we do this, it will initialize it automatically without us having to do anything. How do we do that? To do that, you can do the default constructor, or initializer in another word. You can type the same name of this, the same name of the same class, so card, open and close parenthesis, semicolon. There it is. So now we can go ahead and work with this default constructor. So let me just comment this out. Default constructor. There it is. This is just a comment, so don't worry about it. The code will be available to you on indiedevelopment.co with the comments. So let's go ahead and do this code. So in here, there is no type or anything like that. You just type the name of the function. But first you access the class card colon again card, and open close parenthesis, then open close squirrely brackets. In here you can set the face to equal to 0, and you can also set the suit to equal to nothing, or a space in this case, and it will be initialized right away without us having to do anything. So you see here we're not doing hand dot anything. We cannot even access it. We cannot even access the function, this function. So we don't have to worry about it. That's why they call it default constructor, because on default, once you make this, it will initialize it. So let's go ahead and start it. There it is. You can see that there is a space and there is a 0. This is a space right here, and there's a 0. So let's go ahead and close it. And you can also do all kind of things in the default constructor if you need to do some processing, depends on what you need. So now we've set the default constructor, the void display. What if we want to set another constructor? So for example, for this one, we need to set let's say the heart of spades or something like that, or let's say this one is a 2, and this one will be let's say a heart. So when you start the game, it's a heart of 2. So let's go ahead and run it, and there it is, heart of 2. That's the initialization of it. That's when it starts. So what if we want to set it inside here? So we can make another constructor. We're always going to call them constructor for these. So card, again, you just named it card, but this one will have different parameters. So the parameter will be an integer, comma, a char. There, that's it. That's all you do. And in here, you set it. You write the function. So in here you do card, colon again, card, and then parenthesis, you open it, then int, and let's call it face, comma, char, and let's call it s, just s. There's a reason why I'm naming them this way. So now you want to set the char, right? So you do whatever s is, or so suit is equal to whatever s is. So when the user puts the s is now 5, this from here, from main tells us that s is now 5, s is here is 5. So suit is equal to 5. So that makes sense. But what about the face? Can you do face is equal to face? What if you do that? That's an issue. How do we know which one is which? To know which one is, you type this and then slash, or what do you call it, just minus, and then higher than, and then you can access the face right here, and here it is. What this one is going to do actually is going to look onto this face. It will make sure that it's looking at this face. This just makes sure this class's face. It's like how we in English say this class's face. So this is going to look, when you stand over face, it will say int card colon face, and this one face is just going to say int face. So you can do that and it will be fine. So let's go ahead and run it. Now it's saying h2, right? h2 is because of the default constructor. So let's go ahead and close it. Okay, so now let's play with this. Let's try to use this default constructor. This not default constructor, let's say custom constructor. So you cannot do hand dot because you cannot see it. But to use these constructors, you can go after hand and open parentheses. Now you have three constructors. You have card, you have one constant card, and you have one more, the card int and char, which is this one. So int, let's say 5, and comma. For the char, let's say spades, and the parenthesis. Now let's see what happens. Debug, start without debugging. Here it is. It's S5, which is exactly what this is, just like we set it. So what happens in here is setting it on initially, what happens at first. So now let's go ahead and continue with this, and now we have to work with other functions. Now we have the constructors. Let's go ahead and type and do our setters and getters. Setters and getters are this. When you want to do hand dot face, or here, face. What if you want to set it during the code, not initially, and you cannot access it this way, and you don't want to make them public? To do that, or to get the face, that's why we call them setters and getters. So here, let's comment setters, and let's comment this as functions. Okay, in the setters, you just simply type the type of the function, which is void in here, and the function name that you want to do, which is set face in this case, and it's an integer because the face is an integer, int and f. And you can also do this, you can type your function all in here, but I don't want to do that, it's too much of a mess. That's why we created it here. So let's go ahead and do void, actually void set set suit, and suit is a character, and C. Let's put the semicolons before we forget them. Alright, let's go ahead and go in here, card H. Now let's type the functions, void, oh, don't forget the card, colon. Now here is set face, and open parentheses, int. You can also remember this. Also you can do this without having to do F. You can just make char, and I'm going to leave this one with a C just to give you two examples of the two. Int, and now let's name it F, and inside here to set the face is equal to F. Very simple. Now whatever we set F to, F let's say is 5, face is equal to 5, this face is equal to 5. That's it. And you do the same thing with the setter for the suit. So card, colon, set, and there's suit, and let's do char, C, and in here the suit is equal to C. I'm not sure what I did C. I think I was thinking of character. Let's do S instead, not C. And it doesn't have, this one has nothing to do with this one. That's why I said you can do it int, and now in here you can change it from C to S. So let's go ahead and change it back to S just for the formatting purposes. Alright, let's go back. Here it is. So now let's go ahead and use it. Set actually hand dot set face, and the face is gonna be an integer, so let's set it to 8 because now it's 5. Now it will print the suit as S, right? So after it, let's do hand dot set suit, and let's set it to let's say H, and let's do hand dot display. Let's display it again, and I forgot a semicolon here, that's why it didn't show up. Alright, let's go ahead and run it. Debug, start without debugging. Here it is. First is S, here it is. It's supposed to print 5, but instead of printing 5 it printed 8, because here we set the face to 8. Now when we set the suit to H, the 8 stayed right here, but we changed the suit from S to 8, and here it is. Here's the display again. It displayed it. So let's go ahead and run it. Let's go close it. And now we have to set the getters. So let me comment this out. Setter functions. Okay. Now under it, we're going to do getter functions. Okay, so in here let's do getters, and in the getters it's a little different. You have to do return functions. So the getters, you can do int card, or no card, just the function name, int, and then get face, open close parenthesis, and semicolon. You don't have to give it any parameters because you're doing return, you're just displaying something. You can also make it a void and do cout, but let's do it this way, it's a better way. So card get suit, there it is. And now in here to write the functions, I hope my zoom in is okay with you. Let's see 200, how does that look? Alright, that looks fine. Let's go and make it. So void or integer card colon get face, open close, and there it is. Now we return what? The face. There it is. And here the same thing, char card colon and get suit, there it is, and here return suit. So now let's test it out in here. So now we've displayed it, and let's say cout, this is the suit. Let's go ahead and let's zoom out just a little bit, or let me just for this sake I'm just gonna put this on the side and you can see it. This is the, you don't have to do that, you can just look at this code. This is the suit, and do, let's see if that works, hand dot get suit, and now we have that as cout. And under it, actually, let's take away that semicolon. Let's zoom out to 180 actually. There's a better zoom. Okay, and let's enter without semicolon, and this is the face. And then do hand dot get face, semicolon. I have to put a space here just for formatting. Okay, and then at the end let's put let's take off that semicolon and put an end line here. Let's see if that works. Semicolon. Alright, debug, start without debugging. Look at it here. This is the suit, there is the H, this is the face, there's the 8, there's the H, and there's the 8. Sorry about that, but you can see it clearly that it's there. And let's just put a space here and run it again. What happened here is it displayed it first, and then now it went back again and displayed whatever just the suit, and then whatever just the face is. So now we have the setters and getters. Let's go ahead and work on our display function, which is right inside one of those. Let's go to here. I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit more to 150 so we can fit all of this in. It's getting a little bit hectic in here. Okay, we already have the display function, so we don't need this. I'm just gonna put it under it. We just need the display function to work on it. And let's go ahead and here. Where is the display function? Here it is. So for a display function, instead of displaying it just like it is, we need to work on it just a little bit more, because the face could be a 1, which is an ace, or it could be 11, 12, 13, which is jack, queen, and king. So now we need to work on it a little bit. Switch, we use a switch statement for it. Switch the face that we get. In case it is an 11, we're gonna do cout and jack, and then let's do the break right here. In case it is a 12, cout queen and break. In case it is a 13, cout k. You don't have to do this, but I'm just making sure that you are covered and you know what you're doing. Colon. And in case it is a 1, cout ace, break, and on default, if it's none of those, then default see out face, just the face by itself, and there's no break needed for here. Let's go ahead and after it, after we display whatever it is, or actually before it, we have to display the suit. So see out suit, and then put a space, and then the rest of this will come after it, and then at the end we'll display an end line right here. So now let's go ahead and see what happened here. Let's change this to 11. Now it should display a jack, right? But let's just change this to 13, and this will stay as an H. And we haven't tested out the setter functions. I apologize for that. For the setter function, we tested it out in here, but we haven't tested it out in here. Let's do that in here again, right here. That would be a good place. So hand dot set face. Let's just do the face and change the face to 1. But let's leave the suit alone. Okay. Now let's see how that works. So what should happen is this one which should display a king of spades, and then after it a king of hearts, and then ace of hearts. So let's debug, start without debugging. Here it is. S and king because it's 13, and H, and there's king again. There's an issue right with the display function. Let's see what happened here. 13, 12, 11, and 1. Let's see. Actually, this one displayed a 1 instead of an ace. So get suit right here. This one displayed a 1 instead of it, and where is it? There's the H. The H is working, and the K right here. This one is working. This one is working, but this one, the get face is not working. There's a good explanation for that one. With that explanation, let me show you something in here. Hand dot set face, and let's set it to 1 here. Okay, let's go ahead and run it. Now this one will change ace, but this one stays at 1. There's a reason for that. The reason it happened because in here we're only getting the face. We're only returning an integer. We're not going to the display function. The display function will play with it, manipulate it to jack, queen, K, A, or face. And in here, for this one, it's just giving us back a number. That is it. It's not giving us anything else. That's why it brings us back a 1. So let me go ahead and go run through the code one by one again. F5, here it is. Let it run. Okay. Now the face is -8 something, 8 million, or yeah, 8 million I think. And the suit is I with some scratch on it. So let's press F10. Now the face is 11 and the suit is S right here, as this one indicates. It's right here. F10 again. Now the face changed to 13. Here, let's open it. The face changed to 13. When we display it, let's minimize it and let's actually display it right here. What's going to happen now is going to display the whole thing. 13S. Let's see. King of spades. There it is. Now S is going to change to H. Let's see that. There it is. It changed. Now it's red and it's H. And the 13 is going to change to a 1. There it is. 1 of H, 1 of hearts. Now it's going to display H space 1, or A in this case. Now we're going to change it back, hand.set face to 1, which is not going to change anything because it's already 1. This is the suit, and it's going to display what is suit. If you stand over it, there's suit H, which is going to display H, which is right. But the get face, we're going to get face, there is 1. There it is. It's a 1. So we press F10, it does the right thing, system pause, and then that is it. The function is done. So let me go ahead and summarize on all of this. I'm going to go ahead and do that because you guys know how to display things. There's no need explanation for that. And let's comment. Alright. So now what happened is in here is this is the class. This is how you name it. The class, you call class and you give it a variable name. You also don't forget about the semicolon. The variables are in here and they're always private. If you need them to be not private, do that, but you need to make sure that your variables are private so nobody plays with your code. The rest of the functions are public because you want other places to use it. We're going to get into more things as we go along, but for now we use private and public only. The card is the default constructor. When you make the card and you make hand, this is what's going to happen. Card, and you have integer here, you have char here. This one is what happens in here, and for the rest of it is display. This is display function to display things right here. Set face, set suit is to set things individually, like set face here and set suit here. Get face and get suit is just to display things because your variables are private and you cannot access them, so you need to make functions to access them. Because the functions in here can access them. This is why, because you do card colon, that gives you access to it. There is the code for the setters, there's the code for the getters right here. There's a code for display. You always don't forget card colon, then you give the function name. And the main, you can just do this and hand dot. And just let me give you a really quick example, like card hands, and now let's make 5 of them, and let's leave them like this, and let's do hands at 0 dot set, and let's do 1, and hands at position 0, which is of the array, dot set face dot set suit to character H, and let's do a really quick loop for int x equals 0, x is less than 5, x plus plus, and there is hands at x dot display, sorry about that, dot display. There it is, and now it will run them. Let's go ahead and run it. It will display only the first one as h2, and then the rest of them is whatever the default constructor does, which is right in here. Default constructor is 2h, which is right. The rest of them are 2h, and the first one is only set differently. This is just like you do in a structure. There's the example of it. So if you guys have any questions or any concerns about anything that I made, or if I made a mistake, please let me know, or go ahead and ask your questions on indiedevelopment.co in the forums, or on my YouTube page. It is Tech Time. You already know it on the video, and please don't be shy to ask or anything. I'm more than happy to help you. If you're struggling with something or homework, just go ahead and submit it on the forums. And thank you for watching, and I hope this helped you a lot.